Are you ready for a good chat? Go on and tune in to the Go On Men podcast. It's your place to go with your host, David GSA Wrestling, and co-host, Ryan Iconic Shadows.
And we're back with the Go On Then podcast. We are on episode 36. It's just me today. There's no Ryan, there's no anybody else. It's just me on my own. To be honest, we haven't been able to record. It's been a very busy week and we've just not had a chance. So I decided in my infinite wisdom to try and do this. So as long as it goes, it goes. It could be 20 minutes, it could be 30. I don't know. I'm not planning to organise it. I can see a timer though, so that's an added benefit. So today's episode is Autism Awareness. Last month was Autism Awareness. I didn't know. The reason is my mum posted something about autism, being this is the autistic month, basically awareness towards autism. Obviously I didn't know this, and obviously I wasn't planning to do this. We managed to organise it last minute. I feel like Ryan's been a bit put off by this one because it's one of those where I don't think Ryan has an opinion on it because I don't think he's ever been around people with autism. So it's like where me, I've been around people with autism while I've been growing up. And also I've worked with autistic people, coaching and otherwise. I'll be telling a story about it. I feel like Ryan's been a bit put off by this subject, and I feel like he wanted me to really do this on my own rather than being like, oh well, I've sort of got an opinion on it, because I don't think he has. I could be totally wrong. Ryan could bollock me. Ryan could bollock me when he listens to this podcast. But yeah, so I'll start with. If you don't know what autism is, it's finding it hard to communicate and interact with other people, finding it hard to understand how other people think or feel, finding things like bright lights, loud noises, overwhelming, stressful or uncomfortable, getting anxiety, upset about unfamiliar situations and social events, taking longer to understand information, and do or think the same thing over and over again. So I have a younger brother who has autism. I've grown up with him. I've also got two nephews. One's more stronger dose of autism rather than a younger, like a more in-depth one, and one's got more of an in-depth one, like my younger brother. So I've sort of grown up with autism. So I think I've been around it for, I think I was 9. So you're talking about 23 years I've been around autistic people, or autistic. That's not probably the terminology, but I've been around someone with autism and grew up with the person, treated him like any normal person, much so to the point where we used to wrestle on the trampoline together, and we used to have just a laugh, and it was quite fun. If I keep drinking, it's because I'm dying with my voice, but yeah, it's a weird understanding autism, because a lot of people are like, oh well, they're just like growing up, obviously. I'm going to go more in depth with stories. There's been a lot of instances with my younger brother when it wasn't really known when I was a kid about autism. It was more like the stupid. Obviously, that's not the proper terminology, and it's more appreciative now that autism is more known as an actual illness rather than being like, oh, well, they're just stupid and they should be left to, you know what I mean? So, obviously, I was saying I've been around him for 23 years. So I have a younger brother who was grown up, and we learned to manage with him. Like, we've managed to learn to deal with his autism, and it's sort of helped my sister out to deal with her kids who have got autism down the line. So we obviously, when my brother would get upset, he would bang his head into like walls, or mainly walls, to be honest. So what we had to do is, there's no calming them down at that point. When they're at that point, they're past the point of like reasonable discussion, or, well, to be honest, you can't have a reasonable discussion with autistic kids, but like there's no like calming them down at that point. They're just going to carry on and not listen to you because they're past the point of like cooling them down. So what we used to have to do is like put my hand in between the wall and his head. So, like, my hand would take the brunt of the blow that he's putting his head into. It was one of those that you had to deal with down the line. Yeah, I've got notes, that's why I'm reading through. And obviously, when we used to take him out, he used just to throw himself on the floor and basically have a stress out or like a temper tantrum would be the way they would put it. But like obviously, he couldn't cope. He would throw himself on the floor. The amount of times that my mum has had to like get in someone's face because they've been going, "Oh, pick him up, he's being naughty. Oh, that child should be put in blah blah blah." He was free. He was throwing himself. Don't get me wrong. He did it as he got older as well. But like when he was really young, he would just throw himself off the floor, and there's no picking him up because he's my younger brother's a lot like me in some aspects. He's a fucking unit. In some aspects, he's a lot taller than me as well, but he's mainly a unit as well. So there was no like picking him up or deflecting him or like just try. Well, I could pick him up, but like my mum would never be able to pick him up. Definitely not so now. Don't get me wrong, I struggle now picking him up. And I'm built like a success, but I struggle picking him up because he's just a unit. But back then I could pick him up quite easily, and we just always mess about at trampoline, throwing each other, chalk slamming each other, and I think that was right there. Then obviously with autistic people, you see the funny side as well. Like my younger brother was always into soaps, like Coronation Street, Emmerdale, EastEnders. I'm trying to think of other shows. If you're American, it's like soap dramas. So the scenes like that he would react because what he'd do is he'd watch like a scene umpteen times over and over again. So he would know every word, and like my brother's like autism is like where he would go. Spider-Man. It was made in such a so like he restores a lot of information that like about it was made in like I couldn't tell you. I watched every Spider-Man movie, but my young brother loves Spider-Man, and he can give you the day, the day it was released, who made it, like Columbia or whatever. He can give you information like who the director was. I don't know how he not like how he retains it all, but like without it like off the bell, he can retain stuff like that. But his biggest superhero would be Spider-Man. He's a massive fan of Spider-Man. But yeah, so like he would reenact like certain scenes. And there was a funny scene with my mum and him, and obviously with his autism, he took it my way better, and it's quite funny. And we was all giggling about it. He was all to my mum, "Give me a kiss on cheek." So he gives us a kiss on cheek. And he goes, "Oh, you might get lucky later." And we all broke out laughing. It's just one of those where my brother's quite funny. A lot of people love him because just such a ball of energy. He's such a laugh. There's no explaining how funny he is, other than like saying, "Oh well, he's," you know what I mean. Like like when we was younger, we used to think like he'd never be able to date, he'd never be able to do half the stuff he's done. Like he knows how to play an instrument. Like I didn't think that would ever be possible. He's obviously now sort of in a relationship that is quite weird to say my young brother's in a relationship because I never thought that would come out of my mouth. Like to be honest, like with the thing he does like he's very happy at the minute because he's dealt with a lot of crap as so have we all, but he's very happy with where he is. He goes like 3 days a week to like some like class. It's not class. What is it called? Like an artistic thingy, like a training. It's not a training course. I don't know what to phrase it as. Like a day out sort of thing. You know, it gives me one break, gives them a Jack a break. But he's there for like 3 days, and he's met this girl on the bus, and like they got each other Valentine's card this year. They also got each other um, like I'm trying to figure out how they got him. There was something they did anyway, but it's dead cute. They're both like they both got like some form of autism, but they're dead cute with each other, and like they sit outside of each other. Like they sit like because of COVID, obviously they can't sit outside of each other, so they sit like Jack sits behind her or she sits behind Jack or whichever way it swings, so they can sit and talk and thing it. It's dead cute. And we never thought when he was younger he would ever get to that point, but it's good to see, as they would say. It's good to see. So I've got a little bit of a story. This is to deal with me being a coach. Um, I obviously did sports. I'm gonna have a quick drink. I did sports when I was a kid, and I also became a coach for years. And one of the training courses I went to was called Pod Sports, and it's where you work on every sport to learn a little bit about every sport. So, like you can do like netball, volleyball, cricket, football, rugby, um, anything basically, anything that's a sport really. It's like we probably there was hockey in there and stuff like that. It's a mixture of all different events, and what we had to do is it was a whole week training course. We'd go, we'd pick a sport that we wanted to work on. So, like, obviously, we'd have different people work on different sports. I think I did rugby. I can't remember. It was either rugby or football. My expertise was rugby or football because I played rugby from being 8 up to I think it was like 13, and I played football for like 2 years. But obviously, I sort of got a grip of football. Um, that I was so as a rugby player, I was a prop, and as a football player, I was a striker. I played right back, no left back, and I played centre back. So I played all them little spots. Um, I'd also played right wing as well, right wing and right mid. In that, I basically was an all round. Sometimes I'd even play keeper, but mainly like I would say I was either right wing or striker because that's the position I liked playing as. But I did drop back to left back because I couldn't defend really well as well. To the point where I got ball kicked in my knackers, and it's self-preferred. So I obviously was doing this training course where you have to do like first aid training. You have to do a mixture of a lot of different information, a lot of different skills. So during the week we're working with each other. There's a girl who I'm getting on with, and at that point I was quite flirty, but I still am. But I was really flirting with this girl, and we got on really well. Um, so the point is, we obviously got on really well. Um, to the point where on the last day I nearly failed the course because I wouldn't shut up talking to him because they told me I couldn't do anything. So I was like, and this is where the subject comes into what happened. We was playing volleyball, I want to say. Like, obviously, I wasn't coaching. I was playing, there's an older lad who was, he might have been older. He was taller than me anyway. I'm guessing slightly older. Anyway, he's doing training with me, and there's me, my mate, a couple of others, and I got to spike the ball over the net because I'm very competitive when it comes to sports. So I went to spike the ball over the top of the net. As I went to spike the ball over the top of the net, as I came down to land, my foot fully landed underneath the whole weight of my body because my foot bent underneath itself. So I landed on the bone of my foot with my foot. I don't know how I didn't break my thing. I just sprained it really, but I thought they said like I was in agony for months and to up to probably 20. I was still getting a lot of nagging from it. Um, to the point where if I kicked a ball, I'd be in like absolute like I'd feel my leg go, the power out my leg, and the muscle start straining, and everything else. To the point I think I broke my leg at 26. I went out for a night out. Don't know what happened. I blacked out, and I broke my leg. Um, and I said to my mum, I feel like breaking my leg was probably the best thing that's happened because I feel like that was the leg that had sprained my ankle years ago. And I think I cracked it a little bit, but when I broke it, it's obviously mended itself fully, and it was only like a small break in the back of my leg, bone. It wasn't like the full. Like if I broke my leg, I think I wouldn't have been walking. It was like a little crack, like a crack break in the back for male bone. So it wasn't too bad, but it was a bit of a pain in the ass because for like 8 weeks, I couldn't put pressure on my leg. I put like a cast on, like a boot, and then they put me in plaster cast for 3 weeks. So it took about 8 to 10 weeks to fully recover from breaking my leg. And my mum was kicking, fuming at me because basically I was out on the night out. I came home, couldn't remember anything. To the last point, I was in a bar with two people, and basically broke like I asked these two girls if they want to drink. They was like, "Oh, we're together." I was like, "I'm not really bothered. Do you still want to drink?" And that's the last thing I remembered for the rest of the night. Um, but like 3 days, I didn't take my sock off because like I was just walking around house, you know what I mean, with dogs. I'm not gonna take my sock off. I'm not going anywhere. And I was in that much pain. I wasn't really walking around. I was in pain. I was in pain all day, so trying to deal with the pain. Um, to the point where I think it's 2, 3 days later, my friend messaged me going, "Oh, let's get you out the house. You've not been out for a couple of days. It's got to be shitty, like, cause you're not walk, you can't walk, like, you're in that much pain. You don't need to get out the car. We'll just drive and we'll talk." So, all right, cool. I took my sock off to go for a shower and go to the shower for a couple of days, obviously, not really being walking around. I took my sock off and basically, my foot looked like a ball. Um, And the thing is, over in the UK, I don't know what it's like in other countries. We have a long fucking bank holiday, so like, especially if it's like bank holiday weekend. So like, if it lands on a Friday, you have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are all bank holidays. Um, Same thing happened this year where like it was a weekend, so like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was a bank holiday. So this was like 2 days after New Year, so it was like I think it was like the second of Jan, and I took it off and it looked like a football. I sent some pictures and mum said, "Do you think this is football?" She went, so Alan, she went, "I'll be yours in 20 minutes. Get some clothes on, get some clean clothes on, and yeah, you go into hospital." But I couldn't really put any socks on or any shoes on because my foot was like a ball. So I just had to basically put my slippers on. Um, yeah, it wasn't good. So yeah, straining off from what happened. So we're doing the training. I sort of like sprained my ankle. Um, I then get told that I can't really do anything that week. That I can't put pressure on the leg. That obviously I'm going to be in agony for a couple of weeks and all this. So they was like, "You can't really do anything. We're going to pass you anyway because obviously you did it at the course. We seen you do it. That put me on a bench for deal with me because I was in that much pain." So they basically said to me, "We're going to let you pass the course. You'll just do the work and we'll pass you." And I felt a bit peeved because like I'm one of those, I like getting, when I'm doing something like that, I want to be involved. I want to be pushing myself. I want to blah blah blah. Um, so I was quite peeved, and then, but I couldn't really run. I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't kick a ball because my leg was in that much pain. So I understood why they said it because like I couldn't really teach football. I couldn't really teach rugby because that's like kicking, throwing, running. So I was like, yeah, I can see why you make me sit down. And then I found out that like an autistic kid was coming from my younger brother's school. Um, I won't say what school it's from, but anyway, I find out that like I've got an autistic kid coming. I went, "Listen, I can't do anything. Let me personally work with him, and let's see how it does." And he was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "He's not going to really run. I can sort of walk outside of him. I've got quite long legs to compare to a kid who's like 5." I said, "Like, I'll just walk outside of him." But I said, "It'll motivate him and help him do what he's doing." Because I had a lot of patience with my younger brother. I had a lot of patience with dealing with it. Like, let me work with him. So basically, I just walked outside and encouraged him. I said, "Come on, let's do it." And he loved it. He was buzzing. The kid had loads of energy. It felt really nice to be caught with someone and like being outside of them and working with them. And yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting, I would say. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed the whole session. I trained away with the lad, and it was really good fun. So we fucking sorry, my bad. So I finished the session. It's been a lovely day with the kid, and his dad comes over. His dad sees me and says, "Oh, comes over." He's like, "Oh, hello, blah blah blah. How do you feel?" It was amazing watching you train, my son. Thank you, and shakes my hand. Obviously, COVID couldn't do that now. Comes over, shakes my hand. I said, "Oh no, it was an honour." I said, "Like, I've got a younger brother from that school who goes to that school. I know what he needs, and like, it was a pleasure to coach." And like, I buzzed off his energy. I said, like, I couldn't really do a lot, but like working with him made me feel like I could pass my coach. Yeah, pass. I feel like I've done something. So I said, "It was an honour," and that was it. But it was really good fun, and I had a good laugh with it. And that kid's gonna be like, oh Christ, I don't want to do the maths here. He's gonna be like 18. And I was like, I would say he was about Jack said, like, yeah, it's gonna be like 21, 20, something like that. Lovely kid. Like, I hope he did really well. But yeah, it was good fun. I haven't got any more subjects here. Let me just see if I can pull up anything else. Podcast ideas. Give me a minute. There's some special guest ones. Right, I can do the Avengers talk. Let's do the Avengers. This Avengers talk should be fun. The two we had was Avengers update and Avengers flop. So I don't know if anybody's playing Marvel Avengers. I know the player base has sort of dropped down recently because of there's not been much in the game. They're just basically putting content in that you have to buy. So a lot of people give up on the game. I still, on occasions, do you know what? I would play it more if there was more in the game, to actually play. I got to a point where all my characters are 150 plus, and I'm not really bothered about championship level, because I just think that's a joke in its own. How many levels we added, and the cap's 300 odd Jack plays, something like that. So I've not really played it. Last time I played it was when Spider-Man was dropped. So I've not played the game for, I've got to say, about 3 months now. And there was someone basically posted a fan roadmap of Avengers, hoping that they was going to drop She-Hulk, they was going to drop Winter Soldier, and I think it was War Machine by June of this year, or maybe September. I can't remember. There was a roadmap for 6 months. I think it was June or July. So, obviously, that didn't happen. We're still waiting for a roadmap from Avengers to give us any incline of what the fuck they're doing. They're trying to use the excuse of, we don't want to make dates that we can't hit and blah blah blah. But we're now in May. The last update for the game was November. That was anything new for the game, content creative wise. Yeah, they've done an update where they've made it easy to play, and they've added a couple of fucking storylines with trying to think. The guy who runs Shield, Nick Fury. And they added Nick Fury into the game and blah blah blah. Not really a big update. It wasn't any new characters you can play as. It's a couple of odd storylines and a bit of a campaign you can play through, but it's not nothing major. Now we've been told it'll be basically She-4 or 4, whatever the new 4 female, whatever they call it, 4 Jane or whatever name they call her. She'll be the next character they add to the game, and I'm like, that's not that hard. It's only copying and pasting basically 4 onto a female. So all they've got to do is really build the avatar for it. Use the same pissing abilities for 4 as her, and it's done. Same goes for She-Hulk. That's not really a big update. It's more of he's a female version of the Hulk. Yeah, so I'm a bit peeved a little bit by it, considering we're now in May and we've still not had an update for it. It's quite a piss take in its own right. We also found out that it's been sold. So the likelihood is we're not going to get an update now till fucking September, because it's being sold the company to another company by July of this year. So that means May, June, July is outwrought. So we're looking at August or September before any new stuff comes to Avengers, and that would be a full year since they technically added anything for Xbox or PC, because Xbox and PC's last big update for the character was September of last year, because Spider-Man was exclusive to PlayStation. So if I was an Xbox player or a PC player, I'd be pissed, because there's been nothing for you at all, and it's becoming a bit of a joke. Do you know what the thing is? They had a lot of potential with Avengers, and I feel like this subject's become more of a piss take at this point. There was a lot of potential with Avengers to be one of the best games. A lot of people were hyped. It was one of the games I was really looking forward to playing, because I love Marvel. I love the Marvel universe. I'd love all the characters and stuff. I'd love to see Moon Knight in Marvel Avengers, but it won't happen at this point. I feel like by September we're going to find out they've dropped the project fully, and there'll be no updates for the game. And I feel like it'll just go free to play within Christmas. I feel like it'll just go free to play as of Christmas, and you won't see any updates at all for it. But yeah. We can talk about We'll talk about WWE 2K22 as well. Water. So we got an update for it. Where they added more championships. The tag teams got added to general manager mode. They had an extra match to general manager mode. What else did they add? They added 5 new characters: Casey Casazano, Umaga, Omos, Rikishi, and Yokozuna. I've actually really enjoyed playing the game. I sort of got banned for a week for something off PlayStation that sort of annoyed me because like it put my timetable back on. Like I usually am quite ahead on my content creating, and it sort of knocked it all back. Ryan has messaged me, but I don't really want to pull it up because I can sort of read it. Well, I've done the autistic one. He's saying we could do one. I've already started one. He's saying he's off work. It's one of those where it's quite interesting to see what WWE is doing this year. It feels a lot fresher. That the content's coming up. They added like an update where they added. That's what they added. The NXT 2.0 arena that was out the blue, and they've never done that where they've just added a new arena out the blue. I feel like they're trying to make up for like 2K20 and really put like a nice taste in everybody's mouth rather than the piss poor taste of 2K20. But yeah, I feel like I might be done because the one is like the other suggestions. I've got 8 suggestions. That's PPS special guest and Ryan being with his friends, so that obviously I can't really talk about. I could sort of mention what's coming next week. Let me pull that up. So next week is the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp court case. Our opinion on it. We're talking about the Ember Moon drama that's unfolded about what they were saying in WWE and AEW female roster. That's more of an opinion from me. Let me just screen grab. I'm going to screen grab it. Reply. Well, I'll do it in a minute. I'll screen grab it and send it. So, yeah, I feel like next week's will be interesting. The week I can give you the next. Actually, to be honest, we've scheduled all the way up to I think it's May till the new season basically of the game. I think there's two episodes we've not like prepared for, but like most of it's recorded, so I can give you the line down. So some obviously the suggestions change, some might be changed, some might be moved around. So obviously we know next week, the week after is meant to be Sonic, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Moon Knight, and Uncharted. We're talking about them. Then we're doing on week 4 of May will be Would You Want to Live Forever? Got Queen's Jubilee, that's obviously coming up the first week of June. We've got a mental health week. Random Stuff podcast, so that's just going to be random. Boris Johnson. Our top tips. What have we been watching? Random stories. Rating all WWE games we want to be remastered. And then what team would you have as champions of Pokemon new game? So that's all to August. The reason we're doing it August for the new Pokemon game is I think it's not far behind doing the update for the Pokemon game. So yeah, that's the reason we've knocked that back. And then we've got 2 weeks that we've not done. And then the last week, so before we start the new season, is going to be our best bits of this year. That obviously will just be a mixture of like what Brian thinks was our funniest moments and what I think was our funniest moments. I've already got one of mine lined up in my head. But yeah, we'll do like a random spin-off one episode where we'll talk about old stuff and like our funniest moments of this year. But it's mad to think that like, and a big shout out to the rest of you. Where I think it's 17 away. I can't remember. I've lost track. We're 17 away from being at 300 views over this year, really. that we didn't think, like, because obviously when you start a new podcast, we didn't think it would do well. We didn't know if it would. Obviously, I've got like 400 subscribers on YouTube. Ryan's got 100 odd, so we didn't know if any of them would come over. But we love that. I think it's Brussels at the top at the minute. I think it was. And then I think New York and that. Washington DC. We sort of look at it all. To be honest, we keep a track of everything. Well, I do, and then I send it Ryan because I'm quite organised with tracking stuff. But a big shout out to everybody who listens to this podcast. It's amazing to see you guys, and hopefully at some point someone reaches out, gives us some questions, and we'll nail them out left, right, and centre. And yeah, hopefully you have a really good day. We will see you next week for episode 37, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you all very, very soon.
Did you enjoy our little chat? If so, why not drop a like? And if you want to see more, why not hit the subscribe button?